What's up? Welcome to another episode of Holy Angel. Um, please, it's been a long time. My name is Angel Tree. For those who do not know, I have not recorded an episode of this podcast in a year, literally, um, or I haven't uploaded anything in a year. So there's that. Um, it's okay. It's okay. You know, sometimes you allow life to really life. And that's what life did. Life lifed. And it took me a minute to even build up the courage to even do this again. But I'll talk about that later. Let's just jump right into the foolishness. I just wanna let everybody else know that, you know, I too, I too have student loans that are up in the air. They're up in the air. Uh, and who knows how they're going to handle this situation at this point. From what I understand, I haven't done all of the research that I feel like I should have done, but I know for like recently I was on TikTok and somebody was talking about how they're gonna start payments on May of this year. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what they want. And I think my consensus with everyone else is just like, well, I'm shrugging my shoulders. I don't know what they want from me. Cause first of all, I got federal loans, obviously, that have been forbeared since COVID. Well, really since I graduated college, really, because let me see, graduated college in 2018, and then not too long after that, I got a job. I stayed at that job for like a year and some change. Then I moved back to my hometown, and then uh, was unemployed for a couple of years, and then got a job that I only stayed at for like from from January to July of that year, because it was really tough on my mental, really tough on me. So I was like, and really it just wasn't the right fit. So I ended up quitting that job, and then I've been unemployed since that time. But I can't remember a time where I even started paying my federal loans. I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I don't remember that time. So I don't really know if I ever started paying them, but I was on the graduated repayment joint, but that ran out. But still, I guess that's when COVID happened, I guess. And then they were like, it's like you don't gotta pay them. And so it just worked out that way, where I didn't have to pay them, because obviously they have that time after you graduate, that grace period where you don't have to pay them. And then, I was on the graduate repayment plan. So then I did not have to pay them anyway after that. And then COVID happened. And then, yeah. So up until this point, I haven't had to pay my federal loans. Sometimes I regret not putting money towards my loans when I did have jobs. Uh, it just was not the first thing on my mind. So, um, I did not care to put any money towards it. Uh, and that's okay. I made that decision, and I can't be upset with myself for not taking advantage of that in the past, because I that's just what I just wasn't thinking about that at that time. Um, but we've always had to pay our Sally Mae loans. So I have federal, but I also have Sally Mae. And Sally Mae should have never given me the amount of money that they gave me. Granted, it's not nearly as much as some other people. Because I've seen people, because I have 6 figures in student loans, but my balance is nowhere near some people's balance. Some people have like 500,000 in debt, just student loans. And I just find that to be insane. Like there are successful doctors. And you know, I see this from doctors more often where they're like they show their student loan balance, but they make a lot of money. But the money that they make, they still, like, in comparison, like in relation, it's still not enough to get that balance down. So doctors, highly successful doctors in all fields are like, yeah, I got like so many loans. And I'm like, if these doctors can't pay their student loans back, then why am I stressing out? Why am I stressing out on it? Like millions of people have student loan debt, and then they're gonna start asking for repayments on the federal ones. I don't know. It's just like, what's the what is the deal? Like, what is trying to be accomplished? Like, I don't think this president has read the room. Like, he don't read the room. He don't ever read the room. Like, what do you think? What do you think is happening? Which reminds me, not only with starting up the payment for federal loans on top of private loans. At this point, it is up to Jesus the Christ. Like, it is up to my Savior. Like, I have my hands are up. Like, I don't know. Um, he paid it all. He paid it all, and I don't know if I'm gonna pay these things back. But you know what? I actually want to pay them back. You know, law-abiding citizen. I I actually do want to pay them back. Like, I don't want the balance. Like, if there's an opportunity for me to pay my loans off, I want to take that opportunity. It doesn't even matter if I, it doesn't matter if the credit part is hurting because I paid it off. It doesn't matter to me. I don't want the balance there. And I'm not going to wait on this government to wipe them. I'm just not. They're either just gonna sit there and I can do what I can. Because first of all, I'm not even the one paying for those Sally Mae loans. My father is still paying for those because he's a co-signer on my loans, and he's paying for them. He's been paying for them since we had to start paying for them. And one day, I'm gonna take like I'm gonna take that responsibility from him. It's just what it is right now. But I still want to pay them off, and I think that's just, I don't know, that's just me in like the integral part of myself, where it's just like, if it's there, if I borrowed it, then it needs to be paid back, because that was the whole point. Now, should I have taken out loans like that as an 18-year-old? No. Did I want to do anything else? No. I wanted to go to college. I always thought college was going to be a fun experience. I wanted to lay low, just do my work, move on. Um, but I took those loans out, and I took as much as I needed out, and I used some of it to pay the rent that I was staying at when I was an upperclassman. I used a lot of it for books, obviously, because that's what you're supposed to use it for. I used it for like I bought an iPad at that time with the Apple Pencil. I paid for that with whatever I had left for the loans. I calculated everything that I might need for the semester, that I might need for the year, and I put that balance in there, and they allowed that money to be taken out. And I don't think you should give teenagers that responsibility. I really don't, because you set them up for failure in the long run. Because it really loans are predatory. Like I understand the system of loans. Like if you can't pay for it now, like you can borrow the money and pay us back, and that's cool. But you're working with large sums of money that accrue interest over time. And so if you borrow 8,000, if you don't pay that back in a few years, it's and while you're in school, it's accruing interest. Now you get out of school and the loan is like $14,000. Like what? Huh? And then the job market is not set up to where everybody's going to get a job out of college. It's just not realistic. I think some systems are just outdated and they're just not realistic anymore. They're not the same as in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Like this is not that time anymore. And I think as a society we are too rigid in our systems that we're still working with the same system from decades ago. That may have worked back then, but this is a new day. And I think our federal systems need to be updated. He's talking about make America great again, but child, you're older. You're older. Like get somebody in office that really understands where America is today. Like I don't understand why that's so hard. Anyway, anyway, coupling with like student loans and stuff. So I recently applied to my local community college because I wanted to go back to school. So I got my degree in psychology at a university in my state. Um, but turns out I really don't want to do anything psychology related. It's gonna take more schooling because like a bachelor's degree in psychology is not gonna get you much of anywhere. Honestly, it's just not. And you know what they told me? They told me not to do psychology. Like I would before I went to tour at the university I went to. Um, I was looking at psychology, and the some maybe like a couple of people I remember was like, "Don't do it, don't do psychology." And I was like, thanks for the advice, but I'm gonna see for myself. When I first went to college, I didn't end up picking psychology. I picked mass comm or mass communications, and I don't know. It I just didn't end up keeping that, so I changed it. I think to anthropology for a quick minute, hot minute, and then ended up eventually changing to psychology and graduating. Um, and so when I finally graduated, I was like, I did I got a job straight out of college, so it was not psychology related. I worked at Chick-fil-A. But even from the time I graduated all the way to now, like I tried to get into the mental health sector, but the time that I was trying to go into it was at probably like I want to say maybe like 2021. 2022, probably 21. And it was like fresh off of COVID, probably still really in COVID. And they needed people who had experience. Even if I did have a psychology degree, the mental health, like it was a qualified mental health professional and like a trainee. Like I did the whole, registration and licensure to, trying to build up the hours and the eligibility for, to be trained to be an actual qualified mental health professional. But at the time when I was applying to those certain jobs that required that, um, they they thought it was, they thought it was cool, but like they needed people with experience that I just did not have. I never did any internships in college. I was trying to survive college. I wasn't thriving really. Um, so then that just didn't work out, and I think over time I was like, well, now I don't really want to be a part of psychology for real. At least not in that way. I've been considering career counseling. But even then I'm like, I don't know. So now when it comes to like the Department of Education being dismantled and all this stuff, even aid is being like I'm like even now, like right now, yesterday, today's the 22nd of, what is it, 22nd of April. Yesterday, the 21st, tuition was due. Girl, I ain't got no money to pay that. And I didn't want to take out any loans. But they still haven't given me my financial aid package, which is understandable, I guess. But, maybe I should reach out to them. Who knows? Maybe in a future episode, I'll update you all about whether I did that or not. But tomorrow, so yesterday tuition was due. Tomorrow, if I don't come up with money to pay for the semester, this summer semester, then they're gonna drop me from all my classes. And my hands are up. My hands are tied. It's above me now because I don't want student loans. But even then, like I said, they haven't even given me any financial aid package from last time I checked, which was a couple of days ago. Maybe either it might have been maybe the 20th. Yeah, it's a couple of days ago. They did not. It still says pending on my financial aid. So, child, I don't know. So now I'm like, okay, so now they're delaying aid. How are people gonna even go to college if some people can't even pull 2,000 out of the air. Like, you know what I'm saying? Some people can't even pull $1,000 out of the air, and they're delaying aid. Like for what? You know. So now I'm thinking, okay, with this economy and with these educational disputes, now I'm wondering, like, am I even going to go into community college? Like I enrolled for general studies, even though I'm leaning towards graphic design. So who knows if you know what I'm saying. But I've been considering Coursera lately. I took a class, I took a course on Coursera on payroll, like being like a payroll specialist. And low key, I don't know, the stuff that I was learning on that was somewhat interesting. It was somewhat interesting. I don't, like I took notes and everything. And I don't feel like I'm a great note taker. So I did my best to take notes in that course, and I was working towards, like I was considering working towards the certificate, the payroll specialist certificate. Um but I had to have the money for that. I was only on the free trial, and I didn't want to pay because it says 4.99. I'm sorry, 49 for the thing for me, but I know it's 59. Either way, I don't have 49 or $59. Okay, so uh, that was something. But I'm considering just maybe looking into Coursera for a certificate, whether that be for graphic design or. But I don't even know if I want to be a graphic designer per se. Like I don't know if I want to be like a freelance or work in graphic design. I think I'm more so leaning towards like film or yeah, like film or um I'm even considering animation low key. But animation takes time. Like I barely know how to draw. You know what I'm saying? Like it takes time to really get into those types of creative things. But you know what? Coursera is looking mighty uh good to really further some type of education instead of, like to me, like I can't just wing it. And I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. I can't wing it. Like I'm gonna be looking crazy if I wing it. But I'm working through that perfectionism because perfectionism really gets in the way of doing a lot of things. You want to be perfect, like straight up, and it's just it can really be harmful to progress. And even if it looks like trash, even if it looks like trash, it sounds like trash. It really is hard for me to get past that. And just me having to do it is warfare enough. Just doing things is warfare because of how I don't want to seem like I don't know what I'm doing. It really is a tough thing. But anyway, Coursera is what I've been looking into. So we'll see about that. They're probably going to drop me from my classes on the 20 on tomorrow. So, whatever. I don't know. It is above me now. Like the Lord, the Lord knows, and the Lord sees, and He knows what needs to be done, and He is just and deserves the glory. So, whatever needs to happen, whatever He wants to do, I have to be okay with that, even if that means not going into the degree that I um, initially wanted to get from the community college. So even if it was just a sign, because one of the classes that I enrolled in, I'm not sure what class it was. I think it was either foundations in drawing, or maybe it was two-dimensional design or something like that. Whichever one of those classes, it was in one of the art classes because those are considered art classes. And one of the professors was M Angel. Like the first name started with an M, but it was like abbreviated, and the last name was Angel. I was like, oh shoot, what? What in the world? What? Like, am I supposed to be here? Is that a sign, Lord, that I'm supposed to, pursue these creative things? Um, so even if I do get dropped from my classes or whatever tomorrow, at least I saw that. At least I got to see that maybe I might be going in the right direction, because that's been my whole thing about, Lord, am I going in the right direction? And I'm always like, that I've always had like, if I don't know where to go, then I'm not just going to go I'm not going anywhere. And lately, within these past couple of weeks, maybe even month, my perspective on that has sort of changed where I'm like, okay, maybe if, because staying stagnant and not doing anything is much more harmful than going in the wrong direction. I think in Kevin Stage posted something that really helped kind of solidify that idea of not allowing myself to stop moving. Like even if I'm going, because he talked about like because he does these walks often. I don't know how many walks he does a week, but I think maybe for most of the week, the majority of the week he does walk. And this time he was in Philly for a show, and he was like, because he uses his GPS to get around, um, and he was like, he was walking in some type of direction, and the GPS told him proceed to the route, and he was like, the Lord gave him a word and was like, it's better that like God cannot redirect you if you're not moving. So even if you're going in the wrong direction, that's better than not going at all. At least if you're going in the wrong direction, God can course correct you, which He has done in my life before. God can course correct you and bring you to a place that, where you are going in the right direction. But if you're not moving at all, you're standing still, the GPS can't tell you where to go because you're not going in any type of direction. So that really solidified that idea of maybe I need to stop moving. Maybe I need to continue to move and just have my hands up and allow God to redirect me like He has done before in a different type of situation. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I tried to do with enrolling in my community college. That's what I tried to do with applying to different jobs because I'm still unemployed. I've been unemployed before I got this last job. So I had a job in 2023. That was the one from January to July. I Before that I was unemployed for 2 years. Like after I left Chick-fil-A, I was unemployed for 2 years. And then I got the job that wasn't for a year. It was till July of 2023. And then this July coming up will be, let me see, will be 2 years. So it always seems like there's 2 years in between an opportunity. So hopefully I get an opportunity this year that will change the trajectory of my life, I guess. That's my prayer. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing, just moving, trying to do something, even if it's the wrong thing, even if I'm guessing, even if I'm blindly going or aimlessly doing whatever. At least there's opportunity for the Lord to be like, hey, Angel, not really what I want you to do. Or I'm just going to close that door because that's not quite where I want you to go. Or, I mentioned something a couple of years ago. I need you to really get back to that, like it's, it gives the Lord opportunity to course correct me. And I've been trying to put my hands up about it and be like, okay, I'm doing this, but there's room for you to be like, nah. And I'm just trying whatever right now. So, yeah, that's what's going on when it comes to like student loans and aid and stuff and what I've been trying to do. But that professor having, her last name being Angel, but her first name starting with the M. I'm just even if that, like I said, they do drop my classes somewhere out. At least I have seen that, and I'll consider that as like a sign to be like, okay, art stuff, creative stuff is a good way to a good avenue for me, which I kind of knew already, but it's sometimes I just be like, I do not know what I'm doing, so what am I going to do? But I'll this is me sticking to my creative stuff. But yeah, um, I did also want to talk about I wanted to mention quickly that you know it's not talked about a lot, but shout out to everyone who deals with grandparents who have dementia. Um, I my I have one living grandparent, and she has dementia, and it's been really tough on our immediate family because it's just my parents and her and me. So we've been doing our best to kind of help, like me and my dad have been doing our best to kind of help my mom through all of these transitions, these changes that is happening to her mom, and it's been quite the journey. It's been quite the ride, and I just wanted to let some people out there know that you're not alone in your frustrations with dealing with people who have dementia. Now, I don't know what kind of dementia she has. I recently found out through one of my best friends that dementia, and even doing my own research after that, like dementia is the broad spectrum. Like it's the umbrella, and then there are different types of dementia. Like Alzheimer's is a type of dementia, and I did not know that. So shout out to shout out to my bestie for for letting me know that. So I don't know what type of dementia she has, but I've been trying to help my mom in the best way possible because it's really tough for her. Seeing her mom this way, and then it's really frustrating to have to remind her about really pretty much a lot of stuff. Like, I don't want to get too much into it right now. Maybe I will in the future though. Um, if anyone would like me to expand on that. My mom calls me the DW, Dementia Whisperer, because of the way that I speak to my granny and the way that I kind of help her understand um what's going on, because she does ask questions and she does get confused, and she does, you know, yeah, she does get confused, and a lot of the times I have to kind of like talk her out of doing something for her safety. And in order for her to understand it, sometimes I have to really explain it in a way that she'll understand. And so a lot of the things that I try to get her to do, my mom, you know, my mom says when I tell Granny to do something, she doesn't get an attitude, but when she tells her to do something, she does get an attitude. And I think it's about tone, how you talk to people. Because if you make people feel a certain way, then that's what they remember, as opposed to what you said. They remember how you said it. And I think that's something we're all trying to work through, especially with my mom. Um, yeah, I'll get more into that later if need be. But I also just wanted to talk about a post that I saw on IG. I gotta pull that up though. So the post is from Apostle Bryan Meadows. It's about visibility and showing up big and not shrinking in the journey, right? So I'll probably read the whole post, or I might read the slides that kind of stuck out to me, but let me see. Okay, so it says the fear of being seen is real. Most people aren't afraid to fail, they're afraid to be seen failing. Being seen means being judged. It means being misunderstood. It means being exposed. You're not afraid of exposure. You're afraid of being misjudged while becoming. And that is something that I've struggled with for a long time. I've struggled with that for a long time. Okay. Next slide says, when you hide your voice, you're saying God made a mistake with you. You can't change the world while running from yourself. Shrinking is a form of self-rejection. Minimizing your presence may protect your ego, but it sabotages your assignment. And, he doesn't fail at really reading me. Rejection registers like physical pain. Avoidance, perfectionism, procrastination, they're all protective strategies. Rejection activates the same brain regions as physical injury. Every time you shrink, your brain thinks it's keeping you safe, but it's actually keeping you small. Hiding becomes a coping mechanism. Yes. You can't ask God for visibility and run from vulnerability. Stop praying for open doors if you're going to keep hiding every time the spotlight finds you. Stop praying for open doors while hiding behind curtains. Boldness is not a personality type, it's a spiritual necessity. When you show up big, you give others permission to stop hiding. So the next slide says, criticism can't kill what you refuse to hide. When you stop flinching at feedback, your confidence becomes armor. The moment you stop hiding, the enemy loses leverage because his power was always in your silence. Self-doubt only thrives in secrecy. But when you show up anyway, you expose the lie that you're not enough. And I think a lot of us, if it, especially if this applies to you, you struggle with thoughts of not feeling enough. That has definitely been a little bit, if I'm honest, that thought process of mine recently, where it's like, no matter what I do, no matter what I say, I'm always like really self-critical, and feeling like I'm not enough, So if you're wondering why it feels like a fight every time you try to show up, it's because it is. Visibility is warfare. And that is something that really stuck out to me when going through this post the first time, because I'm like, visibility really is warfare. Like, it really, it takes a lot out of you to be seen and heard, especially if you have shrunk yourself for a lot of your life, or even some of your life. You get these you get these habits of not really being comfortable and not really trying. So visibility is warfare for me, for sure. Consistency is deliverance in disguise. So visibility rewrites your subconscious. Your brain begins to normalize boldness. Confidence increases, anxiety decreases. Every time you shrink, you delay someone else's deliverance. Because your gift isn't just for you, it's an answer to someone's bondage. That's why the enemy attacks your confidence, because if he can keep you hidden, he can keep others bound. You are someone's permission, someone's breakthrough, and someone's blueprint. Amen. Visibility in the kingdom is not about vanity. It's about assignment. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. That was Matthew 5:14. Showing up big is not arrogance, it's obedience. Don't confuse confidence with arrogance because of trauma, rejection, or social conditioning. If your presence makes insecure people uncomfortable, that's their healing to pursue, not your assignment to shrink for. True. You don't owe anyone a smaller version of you to make them feel better, to make them feel bigger. Shrinking dishonors your design. Trauma taught you to hide. Purpose is calling you to shine. Learn to take up space, not out of ego, but out of obedience to your calling. Light doesn't ask permission to shine. Fire doesn't apologize for its heat. And oil doesn't need validation to flow. He says, there is nothing holy about hiding. There is nothing humble about disappearing. You were designed to be seen, be heard, and take up space for the glory of God. Learn to take up space. No more shrinking, no more downplaying, no more hiding. Your visibility is not about ego, it's about impact. You've been prepared for visibility, not for vanity, but for purpose. And this whole post is a reflection of, like I said earlier, what I've been dealing with for the past couple of years, especially, feeling empty and needing to be filled again. And because you're trying to protect yourself and you're being defensive towards life, you're being defensive towards being seen. I don't know if I mentioned this in any of the other 2 episodes, but I remember having a dream where I legitimately was there was a part of the dream where I was physically irritated. I was really irritated because people were in my car for no reason. They were looking through my stuff and they were I had to physically move them out of my car. And I got so mad. That people were in my business. And I just don't like people in my business. And I don't like to be so. It's weird because I don't like attention, but I also want attention. And it's so weird. But it's definitely warfare when it comes to, I could see if it was, rightfully, people don't need to be in your business. But what if the business really is supposed to help somebody? Then I don't know. It's going to be my flight response, even if it may need to be heard by somebody else. And that's what the distinction is, what to keep for yourself and what to share with others. And that's been the tough part because my body and my mindset does not know the difference. I don't want nobody in my business. So it's really been tough trying to deal with this, but I saved this post on IG because I always need to be able to come back and look at this because everybody goes through these types of things, and I really want to be able to share what I'm currently going through. So if you're going through something like this where visibility is really not your thing, even if whether it's your personality or not, we're called to be a city on a hill. We're called to be seen. We're called to be heard. And we can't allow others or ourselves to really put us in a box. We can't allow the enemy to make us disdain visibility so much that we forfeit the assignment, or that we forfeit, our own breakthrough, or we forfeit our own, deliverance, or we forfeit our, even other people's ability to be free. And it's something I'm working on right now, including, starting this podcast again, as well as participating more in my church. I'm starting to sing more. I'm starting to participate more in other areas. So I am trying to actively combat fear of being judged or seen or heard, because I don't want people to, come up with any type of notion about me. Because I read under people's comments in all different kinds of videos on TikTok, on IG, even on YouTube, where it could be some of the sweetest stuff that you see on the internet, and somebody has something to say about it. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad content. It does not matter. Like, people are always going to have something to say. People are always going to say something stupid. I hold myself back every day from calling people dumb idiots, stupid people. Look, and that's me being honest. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hold myself back every day to not call people crazy and out of their mind. So it really is a thing that I'm trying to get through. So, I just wanted to share that, just in case someone else is possibly feeling the same thing, or maybe you're in this type of space where you're not really rocking with the, being seen and being heard, but that whatever God has called you to, you are going to be seen and you're going to be heard, and you're trying to push through and be consistent in some way, shape, or form. So just know that you're not alone, and I am also going through this, and it helps to kind of talk about it. So that's gonna conclude this episode. Let me know any questions, comments, concerns. Share your experiences. And if you're really rocking with me, let me know what you think. So, just to recap, we talked about loans and the craziness of America, talked about grandparents with dementia, and we talked about visibility. So there you have it. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, give it a comment. I'm also posting this to YouTube, so subscribe for more podcast content. And have a blessed day. Grace and mercy is following you all the days of your life. He woke you up this morning, so that's a reason to honor him and glorify him. Okay, thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate you. Bye.